Hey Jane, I'm recording a couple of videos for you to help you mobilize your joints a little bit so you don't feel that pain randomly while you're moving throughout the day. This first video is a sequence of movements called the Dasha Chalana. We did not go over this at all. It's kind of, in the ancient texts, it is kind of a warm-up exercise, a very, an important morning routine. It's a couple minutes long. You can spend as long or as little as you like on it. I'll probably take a little bit longer in this video just because I'm explaining it, but once you have the steps down, then it's fairly seamless and you can probably finish it in 2 to 3 minutes. And it's just something to get the blood flowing and to mobilize the joints early on in the morning. So it is done standing. So finding just a place where you can have a little bit of space between you and whatever is around you. And the first motion is stepping the leg back and placing the top of the foot on the floor, and then making a circle with the whole leg. And if you need a little bit of balance on the wall, feel free to just grab a wall or wherever you are. And the idea here is that you're moving at the top of the leg bone, where the leg bone meets the pelvis, and also at the ankle joint. I'm wearing pants, so you might not be able to see that. And also at the ankle joint down there. So just moving all around. You want to make sure that you're not just kind of hanging out up here. I see a lot of students do this sometimes. You want to make sure that that leg is all the way back because that's what's getting this top part moving. Big motion at the top of the leg, little motion down at the ankle. Right? And all this motion is being driven by the power of that leg bone in the pelvis. And once you have that in a certain, in however many ways you want, I like to do 10, then go the opposite way with it. And each one of these movements, I tend to do 10 times on days that I do it. Building habits and routines are, I'm sure you know, somewhat difficult. So, and if you want to, you just place the leg on the floor and just notice how you feel differences between the two legs. So my left leg already feels a little bit longer, and then I'm going to turn around so that way you can see my right leg as I step the right leg back, and then continue on this side. So you're doing both sides and both directions. So I'm churning inward right now, and then next I'm going to be churning outward. Speaking of churning, the Dasha Chalana actually means the 8 churnings. And all of it's about mobilizing the joints in the body. So there's 8 different movements or churnings that we do in it. And then both feet on the ground. I always like to take a breath to just kind of recenter after each one of the series of movements. And then the next one is a nose circle. So you're going to pretend like there is a pencil on your nose, and you're going to trace a circle. And it's not, this big, like getting your head into this huge neck roll. It's this very small, very pointed, concentrated, circular motion of the head. And when you do this, you can start to hear some crinkles in the back of the neck. I mean, if you do this big motion too, you'll probably feel it a little bit more in the spine than you will in the base of the skull. You want to make sure that you go both ways here. And so after about 10 of these, swapping directions. Good. And pausing. Just noticing how you feel after that. And again, if you want to take longer with something, take longer with something. There's no formula to doing this. It's whatever feels good for your body on that day. The next thing is shoulder rolls. So just letting the shoulders come forward or back, whichever way you want to start. You're going to do them both, so it doesn't matter which is which. And something that I notice a lot of people do whenever they churn the shoulders forward is they like to get the elbows involved, where they help the shoulders move from the elbows. And that's not really ideal. What we want to do is we want to help those shoulder blades to move over the rib cage. And so even if it's a small motion, even if it's just very tiny, just move in a range where you aren't recruiting from the arms. Just let the shoulders roll and flow. And then going backwards. Again, just keeping the arms long, and let the rest of the body be nice and supple and easy. to shake sometimes. So the next one, this one's can be a little bit tricky. And so you are going to bring the two hands together, and you're going to lace the bottom three fingers, so the middle finger, the ring finger, and the pinky finger. Those get laced, so the index finger is pointing up, and the thumb is pointing to you. And then the arms run parallel to the ground, and you are going to trace a figure 8 with the tip of the finger. Figure 8 or an infinity sign, depending on how you want to look at it. So, from this perspective, it's an infinity sign. And this is probably the trickiest motion, and then from this, you want to go backwards. So tracing the infinity sign in the opposite direction. And this just warms up through the wrists, and a little bit in the elbows and the shoulders. And the arms fall down. The next one's a lot of fun. Taking a breath between each one, though. And this next one is fun. Just kind of, that washing machine twist from side to side. And I always tell my students, you can go as big or as small as you want here. So there's two different kinds of twists. There's the biggest twist, which is recruiting from your waist and kind of getting the legs into the motion as well. But what I prefer myself is to keep the hips relatively steady and make the churning from the rib cage. So that way you have the rib cage mobilizing over the pelvis. Just exploring that space between the two. Yeah. Okay. And taking a breath once you've done that. Taking a breath in and out. And hands to the hips, hip circles. Just letting yourself roll in place here. And again, this can be as big or as little as you want. You can keep it small over the feet, or you can let it be big and kind of like push yourself to your limit. It just depends on how you feel that morning and what you want. Although I will say, it does not take much movement to make the body feel good. Right? We like to think that there's these big, huge motions that make us feel better. But in reality, what is simple, going the opposite direction? In reality, what is helping us the most is by keeping things simple and keeping things small, right? Because whenever we do need to make those big motions in life, when we need to, run that mile because we're being chased by a bear or whatever, we have that ability to do that, right? If we're constantly depleting ourselves, we don't have the vitality in life to get through things. And so in our daily practices, hands come down to the knees for this next to last one. And then just making small circles with the knees. Right? And so when our daily practices can support our normal everyday life, then we have the vitality to chase our dreams, chase after the things that we're going after without depleting ourselves, going the opposite direction with the knee bends, with the knee circles. For the last one, I'm going to turn to the side. This one's a lot of fun. It reminds me of the inflatable car salesman things. That's not what they're called, but I don't know what else they're called. So you start facing one direction, and you push the knees forward, and the hips, and then the chest, and then the head follows. And so you're just making a wave up and down. Just making a wave throughout the whole body. Good. And this always feels great. Just to wake up the spine. And really the whole body. And one thing I would say to watch out for is make sure your toes aren't gripping the floor. Right? You want the feet to be easy on the ground. And so there's no grippiness or no accumulation of tension as you move through this. Okay. And so that is the Dasha Chalana. Let me know if you have any questions on it. Feel free to just pop into the office, or you can shoot me a message. Either works well for me. So yeah, I hope you enjoy that, and And again, it's a good thing to do in the mornings. And so if you could start incorporating that into whatever morning routines you have, you might start noticing results fairly quickly just by that simple mobilization. So let me know if you need anything.